nothing of importance happens.
Liam,
I'm gonna piss some people off with this.
Like, oh my god, Liam, it's like internal conflict doesn't matter to you, Liam. It's like characterization doesn't matter to you, Liam. It's like, oh my god, it's like Polites, Eurylochus, and Odysseus are stick figures to you, Liam.
No, internal does matter. For example, A tier, S tier. That's where I have them. Because they do a great job. This has no reason to exist. This is a vestigial little tumor that needs to be cut off. I love this show so much. My normal intro music got copyrighted. I need some new music and I hired someone to write it. But until then, this is what you get. Deal with it. Hello, everybody, and welcome. I am El Delta, and I am joined today by the lovely Meadow Angel below me.
Hi.
And today, we are going to be ranking Epic the Musical. All the songs in it, but our criteria today is not about how good the songs are. We don't care about that today. We already ranked that over on Meadow's channel. You guys should go watch those videos and subscribe to her because it was super awesome. And today, we're going to be ranking based on, like, story and how well the song does its job. Because Meadow's a writer. I'm a writer. We're both writers. We dabble in the written word from time to time, you know, tippity tapple on our typewriters. And so we know a thing or two about story, but we also don't. We're stupid as hell, so don't listen to us.
Occasionally you can listen to us, but if you think that we sound dumb, chances are
we probably sound
we
dumb.
Think you shouldn't listen to us.
Yeah. So we're going to be ranking each song based on how well we think the song performs its job, how well it fits in the story, what actually happens in the song, etc. And we've each prepared our lists ahead of time, how we feel about each song. So today is going to be a compare and contrast and put our lists together to create our combined tier list.
Together.
And so we can start with Troy Saga, and of course the incredible start to this musical, The Horse and the Infant. Now I'm just going to say right off the bat, I have this in S tier for me.
Okay, so something that I need to say before we begin.
Uh-oh.
I don't even have a D section.
Yours is just S-A-B-C? Now, is that because I don't
know if that's going to heavily impact
Well, hold on.
our ranking or not.
Is that just because the tier list you used only had S-A-B-C, or because you genuinely think there's no D's? D's nuts.
Okay, oh my god, I look so white.
You are white.
I know, but this is bad. Listen, it's bad. I gotta fix it. I gotta center myself. I gotta.
Inhala, exhala. Oh, you mean literally physically center. Okay, I thought you meant you needed to mentally, center yourself.
No. So, hold on, remind me where we were. What were we talking
about? I have Horse and the Infant in S tier. I think it is the perfect start to a musical. Starting the play with,
yes.
All right, my brothers, listen closely. Genius.
Yeah. Despite not having a D section of my list, which we'll see if that heavily affects us or not, I also had The Horse and the Infant in S. I think that
this
does
is gonna go
a
so
perfect
easy.
job. We can hope. But I think that it does a perfect job at opening up the show.
Like, it introduces the main want of the story, like to get home. It introduces immediately like a huge plot point in like the infant. It introduces the fact that gods are in this show and they will be affecting things. Like, it's so efficient in what it gets across in the time it has, and it's a bop. But the bop part is what we discuss on your channel. But yeah, Horse and the Infant, brilliant start.
Check that out. Yes, I agree.
Now, Just a Man.
Where do you have Just a Man?
I had that over here in B.
As we go on, I think you're going to see a trend in some of my choice
Is everything in S tier?
Not everything is in S tier, but Just a Man is also in S tier.
Really?
Do you want to save a lot of time and have me say something really big about my tier list?
Sure.
It's up to you.
Yeah, we're all about time saving here.
I have the entirety of Troy and Cyclops Saga in S tier.
All of Troy and Cyclops in S?
Yes.
Okay.
I want to talk about where you differentiate with me. And I will agree to moving things.
All right, so for the first half of Act 1, I will just explain why I don't think things are in S. Not that they aren't all not in S. So basically, Just a Man, my criteria for this list was basically, how well does a song perform its job? And for that, sure, Just a Man does it. It makes you realize that he feels guilty about killing an infant, but At the same time, do we need an entire song for that? Could The Horse and the Infant have been a few lines longer and we got the same effect? I think so. It already establishes in the end of Horse and the Infant that he doesn't want to do this.
No.
Please don't make me do this. Don't make me do this.
No. Just a Man as a song, it purposefully spends so much time in that moment. It purposefully allows you into Odysseus's headspace, and in that song you get to know him so much as a character and as a person. And without Just a Man, without spending that much time with his hesitation, I don't think that the impact would have been as sharp.
What do we learn about him that goes deeper than I don't want to kill this baby, though? What do we learn other than will this make me a bad person? Which we already got in Horse and the Infant.
I think that you are thinking about efficiency and I am thinking about theatrical impact. It would not be the same on a stage or in my listening to it if it had just been a couple of lines. I wouldn't have cared as much about Odysseus if we didn't spend as much time in this moment as we did. And I feel like spending as much time as they do with Just a Man, it really allows you to, I don't know, it's a song where you are in Odysseus's headspace, and having a song that is from that perspective adds a lot to the musical and adds a lot for the experience of the person listening to it. And I think that lacking that and just telling the story flat out, there would be a gap missing there in the beginning.
Okay, so we can move it up to B tier then. We have a nice even split. I think.
Okay. B tier, he says as he moves it to A.
Let me be clear. B tier is it does what it needs to do and doesn't overstay its welcome. B tier is just like middle of the road for me.
I love it as a song. I feel that it is super impactful in the show, and without it, you're going to hear me say a lot of things that sound the same as we go through this, but
all right, well, then
does what it needs to do.
Yeah, that is pretty much how I feel about Full Speed Ahead as well. Full Speed Ahead is pretty much an exposition dump. It is, here are the characters, here is where they're headed, we're setting the scene, and it doesn't try to do more than that. And it succeeds in what it does. It's very, very B tier for me.
I think that you probably, hold on, let me center myself for real this time.
Inhala, exhala.
I feel that I'm willing to compromise on Full Speed Ahead and put it where you have it on your list, even though I feel like it is very effective as an exposition song. In the few interactions that we get with Eurylochus and Polites, you know so much about them as characters. If you smacked that song in front of someone and you asked them who knew nothing about Epic or the Odyssey to give their best guess about the vibe of the show or the vibe of the interactions between the three characters, they could probably guess really well just from Full Speed Ahead alone, which I think makes it a really effective song at being exposition and setting up the kind of trifecta that is Odysseus, Eurylochus, Polites.
I agree for the most part, and for that I think you've sort of convinced me to boost up to A, because it doesn't just introduce the characters at like their names and stuff. It does tell us a little bit about who they are, with the exception, I think, of Polites. I don't get, hippie, pacifist, love the world, greet it with open arms guy from him in Full Speed Ahead. All we really hear him say is,
what?
Look, I see an island. Odysseus is the one who says, let's try not to kill anyone.
Listen. It's not... Okay, this is a Flashback Mary moment. Some people know what that means. I don't know if you do.
Flashback Mary? Who the fuck is Mary?
There's a lot of YouTube lore that you probably don't know. If you're deep in the YouTube lore wormhole like me, you know exactly what Flashback Mary means.
Okay.
But anyways, so it's not the lines themselves, it's the delivery, it's the cadence, it's the, look, there in the distance, I see an island, I see a light that faintly glows. You can hear him smiling.
That's true. That's very true.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you can hear his energy. Like, Stephen Dookie does a great job at embodying Polites when he sings right away. And for me, right when I hear him, I'm like, that's the sunshine character. That's the character that we're going to fall in love with. And the fact that you get that just from the couple of lines from Full Speed Ahead, I think makes it a super impactful introduction song. Same with Eurylochus when he's like, I said we strike first. No time to waste. So let's raid the place. You get that he's like the guy that's he's the guy that's going to be like, luck runs out. Like you can predict that luck runs out is going to happen just from like knowing that he's the hesitation guy from like that line.
That's true, but I think it kind of mischaracterizes the characters because in Full Speed Ahead, Odysseus's lines are like, we should try to find a way no one ends up dead. Like, no, Eurylochus, we're not going to just storm the place. But then as soon as he lands on the island, he's all, I have a bunch of people ready to burn this place down if you don't give me what I want. Like, he immediately switches.
Okay. But you have to think about where Odysseus is starting out at the beginning of the show. He isn't starting out on one side or the other. He's starting out fluctuating. Like, that's the whole reason that, like, you know, you start out the horse and the infant and the whole thing is presented to him. Are you going to kill this infant or not? And he has to go between, you know, am I going to do something horrible to get to my end goal? Or am I going to do what the conceptual right thing is? And that's when the back and forth kind of starts. And I feel like Troy Saga, throughout it, you see him flip-flopping. And that's the whole point when Warrior of the Mind comes in later. And Athena has to be like, don't disappoint me, lock in. Because Odysseus was not locked in. He was being too wishy-washy about it, and Athena was not having it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so you're saying it adds to the, you know, which way will he fall kind of, sets the stage for him to be pulled in different directions. I can see that. Okay, and so I'm comfortable with A then.
Out is the pull from Eurylochus. Open Arms is the pull from Polites.
Okay.
In my mind.
No, you're making some really good points, which, okay, so I'll say that I have Open Arms in A here because for a lot of the reasons you described, I think is yeah, we sort of discussed both of them. It introduces the entire concept of, you know, you have a choice of being nice or not. Like, he's showing him it's not the only way.
Okay, I would argue for Open Arms being S. Not just because of my nostalgic attachments to Open Arms. I rant a little bit about it over on my channel, but the way, like, I've heard a bunch of, like, happy-go-lucky sunshine character songs in musicals. A lot of the times, I don't really want to go back and listen to them. I will go back and listen to Open Arms.
Is that because it sounds fun and upbeat, though? Or is it because you connect with it, like, emotionally?
It's because I connect with it emotionally, especially, like, that final verse. Like, and that kind of is the whole thing, right? And that's why Polites comes back as a motif later. Like, that I see in your face that there's so much guilt inside your heart, but you have to replace it and just keep doing the good thing. You have to do the right thing. And that's why Polites saying Open Arms comes back later, because Odysseus continuously goes through trauma. He continuously has things happen to him over and over again. But it's that one line where it's like, you have all of this stuff you carry with you, but you have to continue to choose to do it, even though people are going to not always be the best.
So you're really arguing for S tier for Open Arms.
Open Arms is a foundational, pivotal point in the musical because of how often it comes back as a motif, because of how relevant it is in the Open Arms versus like ruthlessness kind of dynamic. I feel that it has S tier qualities. You don't have to agree if you want to keep it in S, but I would argue to put it in S.
Okay. I can live with S.
Okay.
Warrior of the Mind is up here in A. Does a great job of introducing Athena. Yeah. Shows, you know, Odysseus was chosen for his wits and his smarts. Does a great job of characterizing that portion of him, which is so crucial to the rest of the play, knowing that he is like a schemester. You also had Warrior of the Mind in S, though?
I did also have Warrior of the Mind in S, and I gotta turn on my brain because Warrior of the Mind, I love the flashback. I thought that it was done effectively. Like, something I'm thinking about when I'm also thinking about ranking epic for plot is somebody that's listening to the show and also somebody that's just watching the show on a clarity. Yeah. Having that flashback moment, like I've heard some people say like the flashback moment could just be cut out. Not only does it create a relationship between Odysseus and Athena that goes back really far, and like you can tell that they have like this long-lasting relationship together, but it also gives you some context about that relationship and what the time before what is going on now was, and like the reasoning for Athena choosing him as, like it's crucial information, I feel, for the rest of the show, because it's like, hey, I chose you for this reason. Now you're not locking in. I need you to lock in again.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take away the words lock in. I'll say it in a different way. You know what I mean? Like he needs to focus up, if you will.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you want S?
I
gave you open arms. I think
I can compromise Warrior of the Mind as A.
Really, you think open? You would be willing? You think Warrior of the Mind does a worse job than Open Arms?
It's not about if it does a worse job or not. I'm thinking about.
I mean,
like,
it is.
impact.
It's a tier list.
Well,
that's sort of the whole point of what we're doing here.
Yes, worse job, but I'm saying, oh my God, let me think of how to accurately say it now that you're trying to throw me off.
It's fine. We can move on. I think I know what you're trying to get
saying.
At.
Well, no, you're trying to say like, how is Open Arms above Warrior of the Mind, which I think is a good question while we're making this plot tier list. And I guess like, because I would put Warrior of the Mind in S.
Well, you would put everything in S, apparently.
I know I wouldn't, but I will compromise and put it in A. But Open Arms wouldn't be above Warrior of the Mind. It would be the same quality in my head.
Okay. Well, if they're the same for you, then really it comes down to what I think, and I would say this. Right?
No.
So then you do think Open Arms should be above.
Yes.
Okay. Got him. You've been lawyered.
It's you really. Oh my God, Athena, how dare you abandon me in this moment of time? But
she was never on your side.
She's mad that I'm not putting Warrior of the Mind above Open Arms. But I just feel like when it comes to, I guess I'm also thinking about plot-wise, how much the show impacts me. I feel like those motifs hit me harder than the Athena ones that happened. Like all of the moments that the Polites motif comes are so impactful and like they really hit you in the gut. And like I feel like that happens sometimes with the Athena motifs. Like I can't help but wonder. Like I can't help but wonder, for example. But I don't feel like as punched as I do when I hear Polites in the Underworld, or when I hear Polites after Get in the Water happens, and then he is one of the things that inspires Odysseus to get up. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like that's way more crucial in the show and the plot. Or not crucial. Take it back. I feel like for me, it was more impactful. Like, I love Athena. I love her so much. Oh my God, I'm going to get canceled on Liam's channel. Athena,
no, you're
I
not.
love you, Tegan.
This has nothing to do with Tegan. This is
joking.
Purely about structure of the show.
You know what? You're right. Because, you know what? If you guys go watch my video for how I feel about these songs. But if we're talking just show-wise, yes, I will sit on this. Well, no, I will stand on this. I corrected myself.
Okay, sounds good. Polyphemus.
Don't butcher me in the edit, Liam, or I'll find you.
Oh, I'm gonna cut you up so bad.
If you butcher me in the edit,
I'm just gonna take all these sound bites of you
God.
and rearrange them and remix them to just say exactly what I'm saying. We'll be on the same page.
I can't help but wonder what the world could be when
Polyphemus.
we rank Polyphemus next.
I had it A.
Okay.
Yeah? We're comfortable with that?
Yeah.
I think it does a great job of showing
say...
his scheminess again and how he approaches actual, like, life-threatening situations.
Yeah. Because you're just thinking story, plot. Yep. Okay, I'll agree. Let's move on.
Survive. I think Survive is the perfect fight song. Me
too. And that's why I had it in S.
Fight songs are so difficult to... Because musical songs are so much about internal conflict. And it's all like, soliloquies, this is how I feel, how will I do it? But fight songs are, like, intrinsically extrinsic, basically. They're all about the external conflict. And I think Survive nails... I'm sort of talking myself into S tier, but I don't think I can because it doesn't blow me away. It just does what it does really well. There's nothing that I'm like, whoa, this is changing the game.
It's really good, actually, because you're helping me break up my S tier the way that I wanted to before we came to shoot this video, but I didn't really have the ability to do. So
sometimes you need another person to bounce the ideas off of. I get that.
Yeah, because I would put it in A for that reason. Like, but I also do think that, like, yeah, it is a fight song. Yeah, it is like just about the fight that's happening. But even some of the lines, like the 600 lives, like it brings back the motifs. Like, I feel like it does a lot of things that punch. But I'm putting it in A. You're putting it in A. We love putting it in A. I think that's great.
We do. Now, having said that, people who watched your video first will know that I love Remember Them as a song. It was like my S tier until some of the other S tiers came out. But I don't think it's strictly necessary for the show. Like, what does it say that Survive doesn't? Why
are you only thinking about what's necessary and not also thinking about, like, how the show hits you when you receive it? Because isn't that also important when you're ranking it for the story? Because you're thinking about, like what's necessary for understanding, but you're also thinking about the position of the viewer and, like, how does the show impact the viewer?
I am thinking about that.
Hit the same?
Theoretically, if you can cut a show or cut a song and it, like, doesn't fundamentally alter the show as a whole and how you feel about it, not in a moment to moment. Like, in almost every Epic song, when I'm listening to it, I am there, I am loving it. But not every song, when I'm thinking about Epic as a whole, am I like, that is what made the show. Like, that was a pivotal moment. And Remember Them is like, I think they could have, you could have tuned Survive to be, like, these two songs could have gone together, and I just think Survive did it better than Remember Them. Like, it's not showing us anything new about the characters. It's just sort of, stab them in the eye because we need to get out,
I think that Remember Them adds that depth of emotion that Survive lacks. Like, Survive and Remember Them are two sides of the same coin, and I don't think that they can coexist without each other. In my mind, I would be willing to I would want to move it up to A. I would be willing to move it up to B. But I don't think it can be C.
Up to B? Okay. I feel like you're not going to let me have anything in these two tiers.
I will once we get past Troy and Cyclops Saga.
Okay. I guess, yeah, this is sort of...
These were the only crazy tier... Guys, please spare me. These were the only crazy sagas I had. These were the only two I had entirely in S. I swear. The rest of the thing is staggered. I swear.
Okay, remains to be seen. Remember Them is, yeah, you're right. It's sort of like, it's the internal counterpart to the external fight song. So I think B is okay. Now, My Goodbye I had up in S tier. This is a really important moment. The splitting of the ideologies is so critical and so well done and executed that, yeah, I can't argue anything other than S tier, which I guess you agree with me.
I'm glad that you agree with me about that, yes.
Great. Which means we can actually have you tiering things now. So
now we can.
Where do you have Storm?
Okay, keep in mind I don't have a D tier, but right. I have Storm in C. Because, yeah,
I can live with that.
Storm.
I have it in B.
Storm. Okay, yeah, because for me it was like, oh man, the storm is there. Like, and it's just them getting through the storm and singing about getting through the storm. Oh man, there's the island. But I feel like it's a long time of that. Like, but I also do love Storm. Why am I criticizing Storm so much? But I don't know. I put Storm in C.
I love Storm as a song.
I love Epic. And it's hard to rank it. It's so hard.
I know.
I will put Storm in C, even though I love Storm.
I had it in B. It's very much just a necessary, like, all right, we're moving the story over to here now. There's a storm. We found an island. Like, let's get this rolling.
Keep in mind, it's not for how it sounds.
It's Meadow, not for how it sounds.
Put it in C. Put it in C.
So I think
it's
C.
It's not for how it sounds.
It's fitting, too, because the storm is on the sea.
Wow.
Do you get it? Like ocean?
Work. I do.
Amazing.
Ocean Saga.
Luck Runs Out. I had this in A.
Where did I have?
Because it's starting to sow the seeds. Like, it implants in the minds of the audience that, like, this is not a perfect idyllic. I can live with that. I think, you know what? Yeah. I was sort of talking myself into it anyway.
Like, I don't know. One of my friends, a fellow creator on TikTok, Siren Rose, a lot of you know her. She was in the military and she pointed out to me how impactful it is for Eurylochus to question Odysseus at all, but in front of everyone. Like, the fact that he was not doing it in private, he was willing to say all of these criticisms about, he's literally sowing the seeds of doubt, bro. Like,
mutiny would not have happened if this seed wasn't planted.
And that is so important for the show.
So yes, luck runs out. Very happy with that in S tier. Keep your friends close. This one.
Where do I have that? I think I have that in A, but I also didn't have a D tier, so it would exist in A, B somewhere.
Oh, I had it in S.
Ooh.
I had it in S. I would be okay with S or A, but S very much just. I'm gonna go back to efficiency. I think this is the most efficient song in the show. This is the
really?
song. Yes. This is him approaching Aeolus. This is him negotiating with Aeolus the terms of this deal. This is him going back down to the ship. This is him telling everyone, don't open the bag. This is him defending the bag for 9 days. This is them breaking the trust. Like, so much happens in this. They move the story along like bam, bam, bam. And I think the fact that they do that while not making it feel like God games where it's too fast, I think a lot of people's complaints about God games, I don't necessarily share, but a lot of people say, it's too fast. This could have been a whole saga. I think that's a little extreme. But it's that kind of thing. Like, they didn't make this feel fast. Everything feels well-paced, but so much happens.
You convinced me to put it S. Like, that was a really, really good explanation, and that I actually agree with that. Like, now that you've explained it to me that way.
Let's go, captain of the debate team. I was not captain of the debate team. I was not on the debate team.
You are on this channel.
Hell yeah. That leaves us with Ruthlessness.
Okay, where did I put Ruthlessness?
I mean, I think this goes in. This is maybe the best villain song. Like, come on.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Yeah, actually, you know what? Yes.
S or A, again, I'm not super hard stuck to it, but like...
I had it in A.
Introducing the villain being a god who, hey, you hurt my son, I need to avenge my son. Like, everyone gets that. Everyone totally understands. Yeah, a father fights to defend their child. Like, come on. It's not... and that's huge to me, is having a villain with an understandable motivation. Poseidon maybe at times takes it to the extreme, but in a way that's believable. And I think a lot of that is...
That's a trait of his character.
Yeah, and it works.
Is to take it to the extreme.
It works. So we're good with S?
I will agree with putting Ruthlessness in S. It is a very, very effective villain song.
Great. That leaves us with Puppeteer, which I put in B.
I had Puppeteer in...
B or A?
I think I had Puppeteer in S, bro.
Really? It sets the scene well, and it shows that Eurylochus feels guilty. And it sets up Cersei as this super powerful, like, basically demi-witch girl, by having, like, the one man who escaped. I think I was going with, like,
I think I love it in the show. Like, I don't want to imagine what Epic would look like if Puppeteer was any different.
Okay.
Like, I love it in the way that I love it in the way that it introduces Cersei as a villain, even though, like, she ends up letting Odysseus go. Like, just the way that it characterizes her. I have it in S because of the characterization of Cersei that happens. And I love that it's done with this frame narrative. The frame narrative is really lovely, and I wouldn't want to lose that.
Like Eurylochus talking about his experience?
Yeah. That's like what creates the frame. It's like they have... I cannot talk tonight, Lissum. I cannot.
I mean, peek behind the curtain, it's like 11 o'clock at night, so that's understandable.
But in a lot of works of literature and pieces of media, they'll have it like where somebody else is telling a story, and then all of a sudden it'll like zoom in, and then it's like, what's going on? And then at the end, it zooms out. And that's exactly what Puppeteer is, and I love having that in the musical.
Okay. So, yeah, I'll stick it in A, and before we move on, I want to say I think highly of this one because It does a great job as setting Cersei up as this terrifying, super powerful villain. Now, moving on, wouldn't you like... as much as I had this as a super high S tier in the songs for songs playlist, but boy, does it not fit well in the narrative.
I would also put it in C.
Like, why the hell does Hermes show up and just give him a power up? I get, like, Jay, I think, described it as, like, the power up before a boss fight. It is, but, like, we need a better explanation than the nothing that we got, you know?
Yeah, it's just, hey, I'm here, and hey, I'm not. And I kind of like it as a theatrical moment, but if we're just thinking for efficiency and what could be cut and what couldn't, I would put it in C as well.
I think we really needed to either see personal beef between Hermes and Cersei, a reason that he wanted to take her down, or we needed to see more hesitation on Odysseus's part, because Hermes is like a trickster god, right?
Yeah.
So he shows up and says, eat this random plant, and Odysseus, the smartest man alive, goes, hell yeah, man, I'll down that shit right now. Like, there was no hesitation. It really took me out of the story to see him do that. I was like, what are you doing, man?
Hold on. I need to look up a crucial information real quick.
Is it that Hermes and Odysseus are related?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like he's his great-great-grandson or something like that, but they don't bring that up in Epic, so I can't hold that.
No. Well, I was trying to find out if they brought it up in the Odyssey or not, because like there are so many. I haven't read the Odyssey in a really long time, and I've been meaning to. I'm gonna get to it when everything isn't so jam-packed. I swear, guys. But I want to know if it happens in the Odyssey or not, because then that would have given Jay grounds to do something with that information versus if it wasn't in the Odyssey.
Right. But even if something like, this isn't explained and you're adapting it, that's your chance to maybe give it a shot at explaining it.
That's true. Like, I wish that there was more motivation behind what Hermes does in the musical, even though I also do kind of understand his purpose as this character that pops in and out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah. So are we comfortable with C tier?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we'll move on to Done For. Done For is over here in C because this is, for me, Puppeteer set her up as a great, powerful, scary villain. Done For did not deliver on that setup. Done For didn't make her seem scary. It's hard to explain why.
The Chimera was what was meant to be scary, and you can hear it in the background. And I don't know, because there is this monster with Cersei, it did make Cersei kind of less scary to me. Like, I feel like Puppeteer is the song where she can be scary, and then Done For and There Are Other Ways are where, like, you get more of her personified.
Right.
Like, the curtain kind of opens. I mean, he literally goes into the palace. Like, he's getting the context, man.
But this might be affecting my perception of this song, because when I listened to Cersei, this was the first saga that I heard come out. Like, I was part of the fandom when it came out, because I joined during Cyclops, and I didn't know that animatics, were a thing associated so heavily with this show. I didn't know. Did they do a live stream for Cersei, or was that later? So I had never seen.
Not tell you.
I had never seen any visuals to go along with this. I just opened it up on Valentine's Day and listened to it, and I had no idea there was a Chimera. I didn't know they were doing a Pokemon fight with creatures they summoned and everything. All I was told was that this claims her power. And
they don't mention the Chimera verbally, but you can hear he layered a bunch of animal vocals together that would have been the Chimera heads, and you can hear it roaring in the background. But I feel like because of the fact that not a lot of people know that, and also it's not really decipherable, what animals they are, you can't really tell that the Chimera is there at all, which I wish that there was more to make that part punch if that was supposed to be the part that was the scary part. And so I can agree with putting Done For in C.
Yeah, because I looked it up afterwards and was like, okay, what was the whole deal with this holy moly and whatever? And it was like,
Yeah.
holy moly, in the Odyssey just sort of made him, it basically nullified her spell to turn him into a pig. Like it was a defensive thing as opposed to offensive like it is in Epic.
Oh.
Yeah, it was just like he ate the same food they did, and then she was like, why aren't you turning into a pig? And he goes, ha ha, I ate a flower. And so I was like, okay, so this just meant that she couldn't cast spells on him so he could fight her with a sword. Like, I don't know. It was like this terrifying villain is stopped by some roots that you eat before a fight. Like, I don't know. The whole Cersei saga just sort of fell apart for me at that point. So C tier it is. And then...
But I kind of feel like that's why there are other ways. Like, where do you have it ranked?
There Are Other Ways is my least favorite song in the show. It bugs me a lot.
What story-wise?
Story-wise, because this big scary woman suddenly is like, you know what? Actually, for no apparent reason at all, I'm gonna like become the most helpful character in the show and tell you how to like do the rest of your stuff. And it's just because she finds out he's capable of love. So is everybody.
Well, he uses it's this moment where he is using his like cunning again, right? And it's not necessary. Well,
by cunning, do you mean he refuses to cheat on his wife? That's the bare minimum.
No, because bringing that up in that moment to appeal to her emotions, I feel is strategic. Like, yes, it's a feeling that he's genuinely having, but like, okay, no, it's not. Let me lock back out.
How does he win this fight? He doesn't.
Hold on. It's not a strategic choice by Odysseus per se. Like, he's literally having those feelings in that moment. But what I'm saying is, like, even though it wasn't his intention to be strategic, like, he was appealing to Cersei's emotional side. And, you know, whether or not that was going to work, I think that I want to make sure I articulate myself correctly about this. But I love that Cersei makes the choice to help. And I think that having that happen it makes There Are Other Ways a really impactful moment in the show. And it's a moment where Polites' open arms thing is actually right. It's one of the few moments in the show where Polites' open arms thing is actually right. Where Odysseus decides finally to be vulnerable. He's like, I know, like, my wife, all this stuff. And Cersei genuinely instead is like, let me help you. You know, she realizes that his intentions, and so in one way or another, his intentions are good. His intentions exist because of his love for his wife, not for any other reason. You know, he's not after greed or riches. He literally just wants to get home. And knowing that about him probably meant a lot to her. And like the fact that he wasn't willing to succumb to temptation, like, yeah, being loyal to your wife is a bare minimum. In Greece, it was not at the time. Like, dudes were going around and doing whatever. Odysseus being loyal to his wife, crazy work in ancient Greece. So I don't know.
Here's my problem. The way I think about it is, so one of the top pieces of advice you get for storytelling is coincidences can get characters into trouble. They should not ever get them out. And that is what happened here. In all the big boss fights, we know why Odysseus wins. He beats the Cyclops because he is smarter than it. He is tricky. He beats Poseidon because he is more ruthless than him. He beats Cersei because he's lucky. That's boring? What are you talking? That's the whole point of conflict, is to prove that this character is more this than another.
If you think that conflict only exists for that reason, I think that you are gravely mistaken. Because if that is the only thing that happens every single time there's a conflict, then you know how every single conflict is going to end.
No. What is the point of a conflict other than to showcase a trait about a character? That's all storytelling is.
And this does showcase a trait about Odysseus, and that is that
he happened to...
man. He is just a man, bro. He wants to go home.
We know that, but how he beats her is basically saying, I'm in love, and she goes,
hold on.
No way, guess what? I'm in love too.
For context, it's 11 p.m. I could probably debate Liam way harder about this at not this time, but trust me, I'm doing the very best that I can here. Like, hold on, reiterate the point that you just made really quick for me.
Okay, so basically, he beats the Cyclops because he's smarter. And that's what we learned from that scene, is that Odysseus can best anything because he's smarter. At the end of the show, he has to beat Poseidon because he's more ruthless. That we've seen that change in him, that character arc. He beats Cersei by getting lucky because he says, I have a wife and I'm in love, and she goes, oh my God, that happens to resonate with me because I was in love once too. I'm going to flip my entire script 180 and decide to be the most helpful character. That always bugged me because he did not win that fight through any means of his own, other than saying, I'm not going to sleep with you.
I can understand how that would bother you, but I don't know. I think that I don't think that moment is meant to tell us something about Odysseus. We already know that about Odysseus. I feel like it's meant to tell us something about the world. Like, otherwise we would have all of these moments in this show where not that many nice things ever happen. It would just be punch after punch after punch after punch. He would never, ever get up. Having this moment at the beginning of the show, in the beginning of the sagas, it's kind of like a breath of fresh air. Whereas I feel like if it was just da 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 da, like, and it was the same kind of thing like you're describing, I feel like I wouldn't have felt like it was as impactful. I like the fact
I think that's what is so great about the Odyssey is everything he had to overcome. And like, it undermines the end of the show when he's like, I left a trail of red on every island. No, he didn't. On Cersei's island, he went, uh-oh, someone turned my men into pigs. I'm going to walk into her house. And then she's going to go, oh, I'm so sorry. Hold on. I'll turn them back and send you on your merry way. No blood was shed.
I think that's valid. I'm willing to slot it around like B or C.
That's going to hurt me. This is the one I'm most opinionated on.
D.
C? Can we settle for C?
Yeah, I mean, I'll settle for C because I had it ranked relatively low too. But like the more that I think about it, it's like I do actually really like that moment in the show and like that choice for her to spare them and to help them, actually. And I think that because you aren't expecting it, that's why it's so impactful.
Interesting. Maybe,
I don't know.
I might have to make a whole video essay about why I think the Cersei Saga fails in this point.
Watch me like make an actually response video.
Bro, do it. I dare you. I would love that.
Yo, I'm going to beef online.
I'm going to write this video essay. This has always stood out to me in Epic. Oh, all right. Do we want to move on?
I actually, yeah, absolutely. But I'm really excited to see your points.
Hell yeah, I'm excited to see your response. And guys, I don't know how heated it got there, but like, Meadow and I, we love each other, man. We're all here for just a nice intellectual time. There's no beef. Please don't start any beef.
Right. Yeah.
Having said that, Underworld, hate it. Don't hate it, but like, I think it fails spectacularly in what it itself is trying to do. How do you feel about Underworld?
I have the entirety of Underworld Saga in S.
Oh my God, what sagas don't you have entirely in S?
Only these 3 are in S. My God.
Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about the Underworld.
I cannot accept this. I cannot accept this. Hold on. Underworld is almost perfect.
Let me walk you through what happens in the Underworld. So
I don't care.
What? That's what we're here to talk about.
Walk me through it,
All right.
Liam. Walk me through it. I'm with you. I'm seeing it. I'm in the Underworld. What happens?
They go down to the Underworld. First thing Odysseus says, Cersei's instructions were clear. No matter what you hear, full speed ahead. Ignore everything else. Ignore the distractions. Nothing down here is real. It's trying to trick your mind. Polites shows up. And he goes, oh my God, Polites, no. His mom shows up. He sits down to have a whole conversation with her and gets so sad. Why would he believe that she's actually dead if he just said, this whole place tries to trick you and make you like set off course? He doesn't listen to his own freaking advice.
Because he's human. Imagine if you saw your best friend
and that's
again.
fine.
Imagine if you saw your mother. You know that it's fake, but that's why it matters so much more when he sees Cyrenelope in suffering and then it becomes different beast. I feel like it kind of mirrors this moment.
But I would be totally fine with that, of him not even listening to his own advice because the news of his mother and Polites was that devastating. But there are no consequences for it. Nothing comes from him engaging with them.
I kind of like, well, that's the Underworld Saga exists as a transitional period. There isn't like meant to be a conflict here. The big moment, I feel, is no longer you. And then you get Monster, which, also big moment, but they're big moments, but they don't have to be conflict. I guess the prophecy is kind of the big like plot point in Underworld Saga, right? And I think that still matters so much. And Underworld itself in the show is such, because, you know, I'm also thinking about as a viewer, like what? Like, how are you not super, like, you're thinking about like efficiency and stuff, I guess, for story. And I'm like, but I don't know.
If we're talking about
trying
efficiency,
to imagine.
I think Underworld Saga and Cersei Saga should have been one saga, because nothing happens in the Underworld other than he hears this guy talk. Monster, nothing external happens. It's totally a soliloquy. Underworld, nothing of importance happens.
Liam,
I'm gonna piss some people off with this.
Oh my God, Liam, it's like internal conflict doesn't matter to you, Liam. It's like characterization doesn't matter to you, Liam. It's like, oh my God, it's like Polites, Eurylochus, and Odysseus are stick figures to you, Liam.
No, internal does matter. For example, Monster, A tier, no longer you, S tier. That's where I have them. Because they do a great job. This has no reason to exist. This is a vestigial little tumor that needs to be cut off. I love this show so much. So you're saying Underworld should be S?
I'm saying the entire Underworld Saga should be S, but pop off, Liam.
Should I put it at B then if we're at opposite ends?
Yeah, and
that
you're moving
right.
Monster to S. You're moving Monster to S.
I can live with that. Monster does a great job. I can live with that.
Incredible. I could go on, but I won't.
So we've now reached the end of my very opinionated section and also the end of Act 1, which is where we're going to end this video. We're going to do a part 2 for Act 2. Meadow needs some time to like cool off after hearing my awful takes. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, we did another tier list on Meadow's channel, ranking the songs based on their bops and their vibes and just how much we like them musically. You
mean to tell me that I need to sit down here again and we're not finishing this?
Wait, no. I'm ending the video now and then we'll go record the second one immediately.
Oh, okay. You literally scared me. I was like,
you silly goober. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Go watch the videos on Meadow's channel. And as always, like and subscribe, and go do the same for Meadow because she totally deserves it for sitting here and dealing with my awful yapping.
I ain't dealing with nothing. Go to the next one when it comes out. I'm pointing at nothing. Go to the next one when it comes out to find out what we say about all this.
Goodbye, guys. Thanks for watching the video. I'm still without original music, but it is coming, I promise. This was so fun to record. You guys had better go subscribe to Meadow and watch our other tier list videos on her channel so that we know you guys like the collabs. Of course, if you enjoyed listening to my garbage takes, leave a like on the video and scream at me in the comments about all the ways I was wrong. I do genuinely want to hear what you guys thought about the discussions. If any of you want to help make these videos possible by, you know, letting me buy food, you can join my Patreon where you get access to things like the full uncut footage of this video, early access to a bunch of stuff, and at the higher tiers, I even draw you a personalized picture every month. Huge shout out to my current high tier patrons, Alyssa Triblette, Benji, and Elliot Games. See you guys soon for part 2.